Welcome to Futuristic Tech Trends. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notifications.
Hi, so now we will try to, get used to the activities by performing an activity example. First of all, go to your start menu and write Android and click Android Studio to open the Android. So the Android Studio is starting up. Go to the File menu, click New Project, and what will be the name of the project? Let's say its name is second. We can write it activity test. Activity test. Write the name here, company name here as tutorial test, or just tutorial is enough. And this is our storage location. See users, my name, and Android Studio, and we can, okay, let it be there. That's not a bad place to store. But you can, for example, go here and change the location, whatever you want to store. Maybe we can also change the location. That won't be a bad idea. We should create a folder in C and click new projects and write here Android lectures. Click OK. Now we have an Android lectures folder. Click here and click OK, and this activity test is stored here. Now we can also name the company as lectures. Now we go to next. So we target the minimum SDK level, that is Android 15 ice cream sandwich, Android version 4.0.3. So our project is going to run from Android 4.03 to the higher versions. Now we click, this is going to be for phone and tablet subproject. Click next, and then just click next. The empty activity selected here. We select the empty activity for now and click next. Main activity. What should be the name of the main activity? Let it be main activity, and the layout name also as activity main, and click finish. So now the new project is being created. And the gradual synchronization is taking place. We have to wait a bit because it can take a bit of time, a few seconds. Now everything is loaded. The main activity.java file is opened here, and you see as the package name is our company name dot the name of the project, which was activity test. This is our main activity.java file. We go to, first of all, to the resource folder, to layout, and see our activity.main main file. We have to double click on it so that we can edit and add the controls to our layout and see how our activity should look. This is our activity screen, our activity layout screen you see here. This is the name of the project written on the toolbar, activity test. And right now we have a default text, hello text written here. We actually don't need it. We can remove it. What we can do right now is that we can add some controls to our activity layout. We can do it in the text form right this, or we can also simply drag and drop the controls from the control panel, from the controls list of controls to our activity screen. For example, if we want to have a button, we can simply place a button here. Let's say we have a button. We call this button as B1. If we click on the button, we see here the properties of the button. We can see the text just like we have in Android Studio or Java, NetBeans, etc. So it's the same thing. We have a background colors, styles, so positions, and if we click view all properties, we can see all the properties like this here. So, and you can change those properties and set different properties of this, or you can simply go here in the text file and also change the properties from here. For example, if you want to change the text of this button, you can simply write is as B1. This is button B1, and we can now go again to our design and try to drag a text box or edit text or a text view, you can say. Where is a text view or text box? We can have this dragged here. Set goes above. Now we have it here. Okay, so we have it here named. So let's change the. We can now change the name of the button in the properties as well. Text. Click here. So we click here and we change the display text on this button as name, and now we save it. Control S, or we just click here on the screen or anywhere, then this name of the button will be saved. So if we click on the name, we will make the name appear here. Now in the same way, see, this is the text. We can also change the ID of the button from here, or also by clicking on the button and going to the properties. We can also, you see, this is the ID on the top. You can simply change the ID also to name, for example, and then click anywhere else. And if you go to the text, you see this ID is also name here. You can also, for example, change the ID here. In the case of the text, edit text, we for example change the ID here, ID, and we say the ID is name text. We can have this name small. That's better for the variable naming. Started with a small letter, name text. Now what? Now if we want to have another button here, for example, we click here on the controls and drag another button here just below this button. You can make it, using these help lines. These helper lines, you see, you can place it exactly below, that the edges of the button match that of the above button. So we can make it even a little bit more below. Okay, and now we want to have another text here. Save. Now let's change the name of this button to the text, not the, I mean the text, display text of this button to age. For example, we want to show the age in the text block in front by clicking on the button, and also name the ID of the button as age. And you click somewhere else, it will be stored. Click Ctrl S. If you go to the text, you will see that this button, its ID is age, and with the text as age. And this edit text, it edit text too. We can go here and change the properties of the edit text, or we can simply just change it here, write it age text as the ID of the edit text too, and the display, the default display should be age. So that's it. Now if we click here, we can, for example, change the background color, and with the text color and other things of the buttons, and our other styles of our other controls. For example, the text, the edit text. I will tell you how we can do it. Let us change these background properties in the text editor of the activity underscore main.xml. Just to add a new property to your button or any text, edit text, or any other control, just click there on the end and press enter, and then write Android if it's because it's an Android property, this background. If you click, you will see, you will get a list of all the properties that you can add: Android, layout margin button, background tint, all those things. They all will provide you control to change the properties of your control. So I press here Android because Android is selected, so you press enter, you get Android. Now to get the background, just click here BA and then click enter again, you get the background. Now you can select any color. These colors, this color primary, are already defined in our values folder here in the colors. You see this color primary, this is pink color, for example, the color accent, which is not so dark. We can maybe just use this one for our, press C, and color accent for our demo. And you see this button has become pink. In the same way, you can go to the next button and press, on the next button, press enter, and again write A, you get Android selected in the list, and you go to list open, press enter, and then select B, background, press enter, and already you have a colors accent selected. So this is our second button that has also become pink. Ctrl S to save it. And now we go to our design and we try to add a third button to our design. What will this third button do? If we click this third button, it will change the background color of our screen to any color that we want. So just name this button 3 as change back name, be capital, and then the text name is back change. Control S. So you have back change here, and also make the back change like Android, background color, accent. Also make this button as pink so that they are all looking the same. Now if you want to, because this is a little bit, because the text is very tightly fitting into it, so we can make it a little bit bigger. We have to click. So we can just drag it from any of these corners. So we can just drag it from any of these 3 corners or 4 corners and make it bigger. So this is back change, and we just try to fit it right in the middle. It is approximately in the middle, and then we can say Control S, and that is what our layout screen will look like. Now we have to go to our activity.main file to kind of implement some logic behind these controls. So we go to the main activity.java file, and we see that this onCreate function, this is actually kind of initializing everything for this activity. And this says set contact view is selecting the UI for this screen. And now what we can do is that we can say, for example, define a few buttons by clicking BU buttons here, button variables here. As soon as we press button, this android.widget.button namespace is already, or this library is already added on the top of the class. So this Android Studio is very flexible. It does a lot of things automatically for you. It's really a wonderful tool. I really love it. That's why. And now you write, for example, button, say button name button, for example. And sorry, I have to change my keyboard again. Okay, name button, we can copy paste it, Control C, Control V, Control V. This is the H button, this is the back change button, Control S. Now we can also define our 2 edit texts, edit text, one, and one was name text, sorry, NAME, name text. Sorry, yeah. And then we copy it, Control C, Control V, and then we have the second one as H text. So now we are going to implement the functionality that when the name button and the H button will be clicked, then the name text and H text will change the text. But first of all, we need to assign this name button variable the control in our view should be assigned to it, the button control, the name button control. So click button button. It's a variable of the button type, and then we use this function here, find view by ID, and here you have r dot id dot, and here you find your controls, H text, H button. This name was the control for the button, and like this. Similarly, now if we copy it, paste it, you can change here H button, and then the find view ID function should be supplied the H button control from the view, from the layout. So that is it for the buttons. Now we have, a third button, back. You just need to write BACK, and then you will find in the list your button, and then equal to, simply copy paste the above line. Dot change back the button, then edit text control, sorry, it is name text, we have already declared them above. Name text, sorry, NE, name text. So now in the same way that we retrieved our buttons using the find view by ID function, we will retrieve our edit text from the layout using the find view by ID functions. Find view by ID, and then r.id dot name text. Name text. It should be txt or txt. Let's change this to txt, both of them, so that both of them are the same in our layout. The ID names are symmetrical. Txt. We go back to our main activity file. We do this. Now simply copy paste it, and then name this to age text, and then retrieve the age text edit text view from your main layout.xml file using the find view by ID function. Now we have to apply the set on click listener function to our name button. Dot set on click listener, double click. So just right here, new on click listener, and then just press enter, and it will also add this override function on click into your on click listener, and then semicolon end. Now inside this function you can change the text of your name text dot set text char sequence, and simply put any name in it that you want. Eric, for example. Now simply copy paste this whole on click listener the second time, change it to age button, and put the age here as 20, and then change it, copy paste it again, and then you have the third button, which is back change button, and then now you have to change the background color of your activity when this button is clicked. I think instead of the constraint layout we should use the linear layout for now. It will be easier. We have these layouts defined in another lecture, so you can refer to that lecture for understanding these linear, relative, and constraint layouts. So what else do we need? We need an orientation in this case, vertical or horizontal. So just vertical orientation, and the end tag is also set to linear. So the end node is for the linear layout is automatically added. Now we have these button and edit text in a in a horizontal line, so we can add another inner linear layout here. We don't need this to be written. These libraries here, we don't need them because they are already added on the outer, and we don't need this context as well. The orientation should be horizontal. If you tap HOR, this is already appearing, just select it. And the height should not be match parent, but it should just wrap the content, because the match parent will cover again the whole screen and your content will not be visible. So we put this two button and edit text for the name in a group, and then we put the next two button and edit text in another group, which is for the age, and we put the third one, which is the last button that only changes the background color of the screen, in the last group. And that's it. Now we see all of they are combined, there is no spacing between them. So if we want to add spacing, then we should add, for example, between these layouts we should add Android layout margin top. Let's add just margin. Add it to 10 pixels, and let's see. Okay, it has added a margin of 10 pixels everywhere, so add 20. So as you see, if you use just margin, it adds this margin to the top, to the bottom, to the left, and to this uh, right side as well. So otherwise, if we want to add just margin to the top, we'll use margin top or margin bottom or the margin left or margin right, so we can just use margin if we want to add this margin to all the sides. So just use 40, and I think that will look better. Now use the same margin in the Control C, in the other layout groups for the button and edit text for age. We copy it and then we copy it into the last one, which is for the background. So that is, now it looks better. Now the problem is that there is no spacing between this name text box, name edit text, and name button. We can also add a margin between them, like we can add a margin right to our button to add a spacing between the button and the Android, and you already see the margin layout margin right. So just add, say, 20 pixels here, and you will see there will be a space between them. You see, now there is a space between them. You can add even more, like 40 pixels between them, and let's see how it looks now. Now it looks more nice. And now you can add this layout margin right to all of your buttons. No, not to all, to the next group. And that's it. Okay. Okay, the container for this button is too long on the right side. First of all, sorry, this margin right we kept copied here, which is wrong. We should copy it to the button like this. And now you see this gap between H and age edit text and H button is the same as the name and this. And now we have to place this somehow in the spec change somehow better. And what we see is that the linear layout is 40 margin. Now we can put a margin left here so that the button comes more in the center. Android margin left, and let's say we put here 60 pixels. Okay, not yet. Say it's 150, and let's see now. Now it is more in the middle. Say 190. And oops, 220. Now it looks more in the middle. And now let us see if we can make it bigger. Yes, we made it bigger. And we want to bring it down, so we have to put a margin top so that this distance between these two is greater and we can reach in the middle almost. Android margin top, so let's add here like 40 pixels. Select 40 and then see. Okay, now it's better. We can also place actually margin top. We should place in the linear layout so that if we do it 80 here, comes down. Yeah, because we already using this margin which is equally distributing the margin from all sides, so better we use this one. So the button is now more in the center, and now I think we are ready to go. We are ready to run our application. And this is our Android available virtual device that was already added here. Nexus 7 API 25 is selected, and now it runs our Android project. Now the emulator will be visible after few seconds. The emulator just opened. It's loading all the settings and apps and the screen and our activity. We have an error. We see an error here. Let's see what the error is. Cannot find this symbol H text. Yes, because the spellings here are TEXT. So we see what is in our layout. Double click here, go to the text and see the H text. Okay, Control S and now run it again. We fix the spellings and now it should be okay. As it was already first running, so you will get this message. Do you want to install the existing application? Click OK. It will install the APK and bring the emulator up again. So Our app is now running in the emulator. Now we test it. First of all, we click name. We get Eric as name. We click age. We get, oh, because we changed the age here, we just mix it up. We should fix it. So we go to our main activity again, and we should write here the age text dot set text to 20, and now we should rerun again. It's going to compile and add the screen again to our emulator. So that's it. It's up and our button is not looking nice. We can change that, but first we see like name and Eric. If we click now age, we see 20. If we click back change, our background becomes red. So it's working quite nice. Now we see what is the problem with our back change button, why half of it is not visible. We go to the activity again, we go to our layout, design. I think we should add match parent so that this linear layout which is holding this back change matches the width of the button as well, not just the height of the button. So it's a layout which we can set to match to wrap content, from match parent to wrap content. And now we see it's here. Okay, because this is kind of moved using the margin, so we remove this and let's see what happens. So the button moves on this side. Let us change this pixels to say 200 so that this margin from right, left, top and bottom is the same. Now 200 is not enough. We should move it more to the left side, make it 250. Okay. We can add the margin top and margin left in our Android layout. That will be more better than, because this layout is the one below the above layout group. So margin top, let's say it's 80 dp or 80 pixel, and Android margin left, let's say 180 pixels. So hopefully there'll be a distance from the top and a distance from the bottom. And now let's run it. So our app is loading up and let's see how it looks. Now it looks much better. So if we click on name, we get the name Eric. We click on age button, we click the age 20. We click on back change button. All of our screen background except this toolbar is becoming red. So that's it. This is the example. We can now tell you a little bit more about what we did. We had first of all our outer linear layout, this one. Then we have an inner linear which was vertical, the outer linear layout. The inner linear layouts were horizontal, all three of them, with a group of button and edit text in the first two linear layout, group and edit text. And the last one was only the only the button in the last linear layout. And in each of our linear layouts, we had defined this margin. Just the margin means the normal margin, and from all over the sides, margin left or margin top. So margin left or margin top or margin right means if we want to add spacing to the left, right, or top of our control or our layout. So for example, in the last linear layout, we had, in the case of the button, we added a margin on the top and a margin on the left. This was the margin on the top, this was the margin or spacing on the left. And to make this position of the back change button more good, to more up, to look more appear, to appear more beautiful, to more appear more symmetric or nice in the screen. And in the case of our name, for example, we only used the normal margin. Layout margin, for example, is equal to this much pixels, and this added spacing here on the top, spacing on this place, spacing on the button, and spacing on this sides, because this name and this edit text is contained in a linear layout. So this margin was added to the linear layout, which is holding this group. And then between these two controls, we added a margin. For example, we added a margin to the right of the name, so that there is a spacing between this name and this edit text control. We did the same with the age button and the age edit text. For example, we added margin because these two groups is contained in a linear layout. This linear layout that we clicked, this is now visible. And this linear layout was given a property of margin with a certain number of pixels that gives it spacing on the top, on the bottom, on the left, and on the right of the screen. And then we added age button in it, and then the age text in it, edit text in it, and this age button had a margin on the right side, which was certain number of pixels, say 20 or 30 or 40 pixels, to give this spacing, which is equal to the spacing here. And then in the case of our backstage button, we added just a margin on the top and a margin on the left, and to bring it at this place. So this is a starting example of how our Android activities are. Now our next step will be to check or to see how we can call one activity from another activity. For example, we click on the button and we call another activity from it.
That was awesome, thank you.
Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notifications.